Hello everybody, this is Yasmin from Yarkspiri fantasyart.com, and today I'm just going to show you a little behind the scenes view of how I actually put together the video tutorials that you see on my channel. As you may have noticed, I do have a couple of different playlists from which you guys can navigate through. I have my main illustration playlist, which is every week I upload a new video for that, and it's my illustration process. That's merged essentially with my anatomy studies videos as well, so I tend to alternate between those two. And then every week I also post a Photoshop tutorial where I actually cover the basics on how to actually use Photoshop to create these different illustrations. So in this video I'm actually going to show you how I go about editing these videos and what's involved in doing so. Because as you may have guessed, it does take me a while to do these videos. The average running time for just the editing portion is 2 hours, but once you add in the 6 to 7 hours it takes for the illustration or the recording of the footage along with the rendering time, which normally takes about 3 or 4 hours, it adds up to quite a bit of a day's work. So we're just going to start. I'm just going to switch to my computer right now so you can actually see how I actually go about creating these video tutorials. So as you guys can see, this is some of the video editing that actually goes into producing one of these finished pieces. Now, this is the original footage where I've added some modifications, and this actually creates that banner essentially that you see around the piece so that it covers the more distracting areas. Because I find that the menus do tend to be too distracting, especially if different windows start to pop up, if I'm changing between my brushes or adding modifiers. So for this reason I actually cover those up, and all those will be discussed in video tutorials related to Photoshop later on. But for the purposes of the illustration, to keep from distracting from those, I do cover those up so you can't see them essentially. Now I'm just going to turn that layer off and turn this layer off too. So essentially now all you'll see is my raw footage. This is the footage before it gets modified. It is extensively longer than what you see as a final product. Right now this is over 30 minutes long. It's actually 33 minutes in length. But what I do is I have to actually speed up this video normally to a minimum of 15,000%, and it's just gone from 33 minutes to 2 minutes in length. So that is obviously a very significant difference, and it is necessary in order to keep these videos within a reasonable time length. Otherwise people just get too distracted. Another thing I do is I go in and I remove any of these pop-ups that might appear. I do miss a couple, but I do try to get the majority of them. Some of these only appear for one frame, so they are harder to catch, especially when I'm scrolling through this. So I do try to get as many of these as possible, just to make it easier for you guys to view. I also, like I said, I changed the scale to about 70%. This allows you guys to see as much as possible. Otherwise, you guys lose too much. Now, I do record the audio separately, so I use Adobe Premiere to do my main video editing. However, for the sound editing and recording, as I'm doing right now, I'm actually using Adobe Sound Booth. And because I got the whole software package, I'm able to obviously use all these softwares at the same time. So I'm not going to close that because I'm using that currently. Created in Photoshop. I do use Photoshop for the majority of my graphics. And essentially what I did is, in this case, I created a template so that I could easily turn off different portions that I wanted to. So in this case, my subscribe is actually 2 layers, otherwise it's not pronounced enough. And I have a mask as well. So I'm just going to disable that so you can see. This is the original image that was created for my YouTube channel. And this did require quite a bit of experimentation before I came up with something that I found that worked for my channel. Also, I'm just going to disable that layer mask again. I also created a little thumbnail choice. So in a previous video, you saw me actually give you guys a variety of different thumbnails that you guys could actually choose from. And essentially all I did is I created another folder on top so that I could turn it on and off. So that's the basics behind this graphic. Now essentially for the introduction that you see in my videos, what I did is I used the exact same process, but the main difference was that I created different layers or transparencies in order to properly create the animation that you saw, and then I used different transition effects in order to achieve those results. So there's literally just a couple of frames for that caused this effect. The Yarkspiri fantasy art portion was an effect that was in Adobe Premiere that I just simply applied, and then I animated the different visuals. So I'm just going to get out of this. So this is how I go about creating these weekly videos that you see me post every week. So as you can see, this is just a really rough overview of what I actually do in order to create the videos that you see every week. And I hope you guys found this interesting. So thank you and take care.